All right, so we're going to continue with the Lubavitcher Rebbe's Memoirs. Last time we spoke, we finished talking about the history of Lubavitch. Now we're moving on to something else. So this needs some introduction because this is different. We're following along with the life of Baruch, the Alter Rebbe's father. But I have to tell you how the story goes. We're going to talk about the birth of Baruch. Then we're going to quickly go until he is 17 years old. And after that, it goes through his history very quickly. And then when he's 17 years old, a lot of what's going to happen are things that happened to him between he was 14 and 17. So he's going to be going through things that happened after he left his house. And we're going to have a story within a story, within a story, within a story. We could go weeks before we come back to where it is. It's going to be very hard to follow. Now, the first part of the book is his perspective. But the last part of the book is going to be his sister's perspective, Devorah Leah. And we're going to learn a lot more about his parents and his family and his upbringing and some very important things about him. What we're going to go on now, there's going to be some miracle stories. There's going to be some really cool stories, a lot of excitement, but a lot of it is not going to be that way. A lot of it is just going to be how he's thinking, what's going through his mind. And the Frierdiker Rebbe is going to have stories, and then you're going to find little pieces of information about Baruch. And you're going to forget other things, and you're going to think it's unimportant. But it's actually really important because this book is how Baruch decided to be a follower of the Baal Shem Tov. He was not raised a chassid of the Baal Shem Tov, and he made the decision on his own to be a chassid of the Baal Shem Tov, and he struggled with it. How did he make the decision? For Pesach, he used to go to the house of Eliezer Reuven, the blacksmith. And Eliezer Reuven, the blacksmith, had 3 daughters who were married to 3 sons. One, the oldest, was a misnagid, and you couldn't change him no possible way. The second son was in between. He could be influenced one way or the other. And then the third son, Yisachar Dov, was, not Yisachar Dov, Yisachar Dov was last, but it'll come to me. Yitzchak Shol, the third son, Yitzchak Shol, was a follower of the Baal Shem Tov. So within the house, he could see 3 people who had 3 different ways of life, and he got to choose. So I just wanted to give you an overview because that's going to get lost when we start telling the stories. So I just wanted to orient you. So the Alter Rebbe's father is called Baruch, and his father is Shner Zalman. The Alter Rebbe is named after him, Shner Zalman. And his father was Rabbi Moshe of Posen. And he was a very wealthy and important person in Posen. He was very successful at business. And he had sons and he had daughters. And his sons were very good at business. But Shner Zalman was different. From a very young age, he was very sickly and he was very weak. But he was very God-fearing, and he loved to learn Torah. But Rabbi Moshe, they were all big Torah scholars as well. He was big in Torah and big in business, and he wanted Shner Zalman to go into business. But Shner Zalman did not want to go into business. He became a Melamed. His other brothers were successful businessmen. So Shner Zalman married he got married to a poor girl from a poor family. Her father was Baruch Botlin. And it says here, it's a little strange that he married him because typically a rich person from a rich family doesn't typically marry a poor girl from a poor family. We'll have to find out later why that happened, but he ended up marrying her. And typically when you would get married, it's the girl's father who would support you for learning. But because he didn't have much money, his father supported him for 6 years. And after those 6 years, he really wanted him to go into business. but he didn't go into business. He went into teaching, wasn't making a very good living. But then Reb Moshe decided to leave Posen. Why? Because the Haskalah movement was becoming big in Posen. So that's like the Enlightenment movement, where they wanted kids to start learning English. Well, not learning English, secular studies. And he felt that this was not going to be a good influence for his children. So they decided to leave, and he went to Minsk. He went to Minsk. Moshe went to Minsk with one of his sons. The other two sons went to Orshav. And Shner Zalman didn't go with any of his family, and he went to Vitebsk, where he was hired as a teacher. Some people who left Posen went to Vitebsk, and he went with them. Well, Vitebsk is like a couple hundred miles away from Minsk, so he was really far away from his family. And you're going to hear about this. Vitebsk is not a very wealthy town, and they lived at the edge of town in the poorest of the poor neighborhood. So they were pretty poor, and they were struggling. But Baruch was brilliant at a very young age. He had a great aptitude for Torah, and he enrolled in school, and he just boom, 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 skipped a whole bunch of grades to the point that he passed all the kids. He advanced to his father's class, and he went past it. So he was basically, at a pretty young age, he was just learning alone. He was grabbing a sefer, going out in the woods, sitting on a tree trunk, and just learning on his own. And his father would tell him, these are the things I want you to learn. Go out, learn it on your own. Well, soon after his bar mitzvah, his mother got sick, and she passed away. And soon after his mother passed away, his father passed away. They don't give a whole lot of details now, but you're going to hear the whole detailed story at the very end of the book. And then he and his sister Devor Leah ended up living with their aunt, but he didn't want to live with them, and he wasn't happy, and he wanted to leave home. He was only 14 years old. And they said, please don't leave. You're way too young to live on your own. And he just split town. He just left. And he was wandering from town to town to town to town. And he would go to a base medrash. He would make it his home. He would learn. He would sleep there. And to live, he would take whatever job he could get. He would be a water carrier, a wood chopper, a porter, any work that needed to be done, any odd jobs, as long as they paid cash. No job was beneath him, no job was too hard, and he needed very little money to live. Now, in these times, it wasn't actually that uncommon for people to be wandering around, but if a young guy, had no family and they were in shul, it's like the shul would find him a place to stay. They would find him a place to feed him. They would try to help them out, but he would not accept help from anyone. He wouldn't eat at anyone's house for Shabbos. He wouldn't sleep at anyone's house. He wouldn't accept anything. And the people found him pretty strange. This sort of a weird guy. This is weird. And anytime people would try to get close to him and try to help him and find out, he would skip town. He would just go from town to town to town to town. He would skip town. So this kept on happening. Now we're 3 years later, and now he's in Liozna. Now that's where the Alter Rebbe is from, Liozna. So he's in Liozna, and he's in the main shul, and he's learning. And in all the wanderings of the towns, he would always save money. He would make more than he would spend. So he saved up a good amount of money. He says, you know what? Now I'm going to stop working. I'm retired. I've got money to live off of. I can just hang out here in Liozna, and I'm going to do pretty good. And he was pretty frugal, so he didn't really eat that much. And the people in shul were like, wow, this is an amazing guy. He studies so hard. Who is this guy? So they're really trying to get to know him really well, but he will not say anything about his background, and he will not help them. And they got furious. They're like, come on, this is ridiculous. We cannot have a guy starving to death in this town who we know nothing about, who won't accept any help. So they insisted that they say, come on, we want to help you. We have to help you. You need help. We can tell you're underfed. And he just split. So he left the main base medrash of Liozna, and he went to the edge of town where all the poor people were. So now things were really poor. And there, he's starving. He's like really thin, but guess what? So is everybody else. And at this shul, everyone's broke. No one can help him out. They don't have any money. They're starving too. But then he realizes he's running low on cash. So he says, okay, I'm running low on cash. I need to go back to work. So he wants to be a water carrier. But guess what? People are so poor that they don't hire water carriers. They get their own water, and the few rich people already have a water carrier. He says, okay, I'm going to be a wood chopper. Problem is, Walmart's not hiring. McDonald's not hiring. They're full. All the wood chopper jobs are taken up, and these are by married men. He's like, oh my God, I don't want to take a job for a married man. Well, maybe I'll be a porter. Well, there's plenty of porters, so there's no work. So now he's really, really running low on cash. So he's eating smaller and smaller amounts of food until it's right before Shavuos, and he is flat broke. He says, okay, I'm going to starve for a few days, and with the last little bit of money, I'm going to buy 2 tiny dry challahs for me to eat for Shavuos, because I can make kiddush on it. I have to have that for Shavuos. He wouldn't eat at anyone's house. He was only 20 miles away from Vitebsk, where he came from. He could have gone home. He refuses to go home. He could have gone to the middle of the town and people would have helped him. He refuses. After Shavuos, he ate those 2 last pieces of bread. He is flat broke. He has no money. So now he starves day after day after day. After a couple of days, he has nothing to eat. He thinks he's going to die. So he goes out in the forest and he says, I'm going to scavenge for some, grass to eat. So he finds some sorrel and he eats it. And he hasn't eaten for 2 days. And what happens when he eats it? He gets sick. He gets a stomach ache. He throws up. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm surely going to die. I have to go into town and I have to beg for charity. Who will turn me away? So he goes into town and he's dragging his feet. He can barely make it. And he says, I don't want to ask for charity. I should have more faith in God. And he learned all types of musar. He said, God is testing my faith. Do I ask for charity? Do I not ask for charity? I need to have more faith in God. I need to have more faith in God. And just when he's doing it, there's a gardener who's gardening, pulling weeds, doing his gardening. He says, hey, young man, I've got too much work here. Would you please come help me with the gardening? And you can stay with me. I'll give you a place to stay, and I'll give you food to eat, and I'll pay you. And this was Avram the gardener. And he was like, oh my God, my prayers were answered, because he was just about ready to die. And Avram the gardener gave him bread and gave him vegetables and gave him something to drink, and he fed him. And for 3 weeks, he worked with Avram the gardener picking, vegetables. After that, he was ready to leave, and Avram said, no, don't leave, because I also lease the orchards from the nobleman, and that's a big job. Now it's, this is Shavuos. Now it's harvest, and that's going to be like 7 weeks to pull all these fruits, and I need you as a watchman, because people rob me, people go in there at night, they steal all my fruit. I need you as a watchman. So he says, okay, I'll stay with you as a watchman. So now Baruch finally made it, and there's one person who he's sort of getting close with, and that is Avram the gardener. And then we're going to stop here, and we'll hear more about the relationship between Baruch and Avram the gardener.
Thank you.